Good morning. Good morning. What a weird morning. The other mornings are so beautiful on a Friday, and then I get up this morning at 1 o'clock because my wife tripped the alarm. So I've never, I think, gotten up that quickly. And I was like, what's that? It was thunder and rain, and it's still raining this morning. So really amazing. I love it when it rains. But yeah, quite weird. I don't know. It's not something I'm used to this time of the year. Anyway, good morning. Welcome. Awesome to have you all back with us. Awesome to see Arun in so early. Arun, good morning. And Razan and Rihanna, good morning. And also Mr. Hendrik Crawford. Good morning. Thank you for saying hi. I appreciate it. I hope you're going to find lots of value this morning. And if you're watching the recording, thank you very, very much. I deeply appreciate it. So, yeah, with that, obviously, as we always do, let's head on over to the news studio. And this morning, I have Seema back with us from the Financial Planning Institute. Looking forward to hear what the latest news is.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you, Francois, for having us again. We start off this morning with the news from the South African Reserve Bank as part of the modernization of the national payment system. SARB has embarked on an authenticated collections DebiCheck project. This project seeks to address the increasing levels of abuse in the debit order payment system, known commercially as the early debit orders payment system. From the 1st of May 2021, all new and registered or rather renegotiated EDO mandates will be originated in the DebiCheck payment system and not in the current EDO payment system. Prior to the 1st of May 2021, consumers provided mandates to a company or a user to collect the money from their bank account. In the new DebiCheck payment system, consumers will provide authorization to their bank by way of an authenticated mandate to release the funds from their account when the debit order is submitted by the company or user from whom they've bought goods or contracted a service. The DebiCheck project is an initiative of the collections industry that ensures the safety and efficiency of the NPS and the mitigation of rogue and fraudulent behavior in the collection system. Moving on to the courts now, where we see the Constitutional Court has confirmed the finding of the unconstitutionality of Section 21(2)(a) of the Matrimonial Property Act. The facts of the Sithole and another versus Sithole in another case where the couple were married in 1972 under the provisions of the Black Administration Act. Under Section 22(6) of this Act, all marriages between Black people were out of community of property except in certain limited circumstances. With the repeal of the Section 22 by the Marriage and Matrimonial Property Law Amendment Act, all existing marriages between Black people under the BAA remained out of community of property. This is the opposite from the default position of the community of property marriages under the Marriage Act. An application was brought to declare Section 21(2)(a) of the Matrimonial Property Act unconstitutional to the extent that it perpetuates the provisions of the BAA in that about 400,000 Black women are not protected by the community of property in their marriages. This is the exact opposite of the default position in all other. An application was brought to the commission, was also supported rather by the Commissioner of Gender Equality as a second applicant, and the court applied the test of unfair discrimination accepted in our courts and held that the perpetuating effect of Section 21 of the Matrimonial Property Act on such marriages to be out of community of property results in unfair discrimination on the basis of race and therefore unconstitutional. From the date of this order, Chapter 3 of the Matrimonial Property Act will apply in respect of all marriages that have not been converted into marriages in community of property unless the affected couple has opted out in accordance with the prescribed procedure. An interesting side note on this comment, the court had ordered the minister to pay the costs of the application on the basis that the minister had since 1996 to trawl through the existing legislation and remove unfair discrimination from legislation, but failed to remove this particular discrimination provision. And staying with the courts still, Wilkinson and another versus Crawford. And for those of you that had studied trust administration, this case has finally come to an end now. The case originated in the Western Cape High Court, and then it moved on to the Supreme Court of Appeal. And finally, a judgment has been handed down in the Constitutional Court. This case dealt with a will from 1953 where the testator bequeathed part of his estate to a trust. The capital beneficiaries of the trust were to be his grandchildren and intended not to include adopted children. After the death of his daughter, after his death, his daughter adopted 2 children. Upon her death, as the longest surviving of his children, the trust was to be terminated. But before the daughter died, she started the proceedings in the Cape Town High Court to attack the terms of the trust on the basis that they were discriminatingly unfair on the grounds prohibited by Section 9 of the Constitution. In an appeal to the Constitutional Court against the refusal by the High Court and the Supreme Court of Appeal to order that adopted children be regarded as descendants of the testator, it was argued that the terms of the trust were open to interpretation and that the adopted children were to be included as capital beneficiaries. Alternatively, that exclusion of the adopted children amounts to unfair discrimination on Section 9 prohibited ground. It was held that the relevant clause 6 of the trust deed, if construed correctly, already covered the adopted children and qualified them as capital beneficiaries. The result of the majority judgment is that the adopted children will receive 1/4 of the trust estate. And ending off with a useless fact for today, did you know that the Hawaiian pizza originated in Canada? Sam Panopoulos of Greece, who moved to Canada, decided to one day put pineapple on pizza for fun. He subsequently died in 2017, but told BBC that the name came from the brand of canned pineapple that was used in the very first Hawaiian pizza. And with that mouthful, have a fantastic weekend.
Seema, I love facts about food, so please keep them coming. Thank you very much. That was extremely insightful. Deeply appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you in the FBI back soon. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Cheers. Alrighty, so with that then on to personal development this morning, and I have Norma back in the flesh, on camera, but in the flesh, so we have her back and excited to hear what she has to say this morning.
Good morning, everyone. We're talking about scarcity today. So when I think of scarcity, I immediately think of an empty cup. So if we live our life or we are in business inside this empty cup, it feels to us like there's lack, that there is a short of supply, that there's insufficiency. So we have this feeling of there's never enough and I can't even create anymore. So we have this energy of desperation, and that whatever we do is not good enough, or what I have to offer is not good enough. So this is on the one hand. On the other hand, we look at the opposite of that. So we look at this empty, this full cup, or this cup that has enough or is in abundance. So whatever way you see it, so whatever your opposite is of the empty cup or of the scarcity. So this full cup really represents enoughness. We can always create more. We have an opportunity to give, and then we have the opportunity to receive again. So we have this mentality of there's always enough. So my question to you today is, How do you operate your life? Are you operating it inside this empty cup, or inside this cup that has enough or that has abundance? So this scarcity really plays out in three areas of our life. So it is firstly in our minds, then in our emotions, and then physically. So if we have scarcity in our mind, we have thoughts like, I'm not enough, whatever I have to offer is not enough, I'm not extraordinary enough, I'm not smart enough. If it plays out in our emotions, we might have these thinking or feeling like, I don't have enough happiness in my life, or I don't have enough love in my life, or if I give love here, then it's going to take love from somewhere else. And then the physical manifestation of that is really where we say that I don't have enough money, for instance, I don't have enough experiences. I am, let's say, overeating or overspending because I need to spend it now because I might not have in the future to spend. So with the scarcity mindset, it really, we believe lies. So let's look at a couple of these lies that we believe. So the first one is really where we always want instant gratification. And if we don't get that instant gratification, then we think something is wrong. So we forget that we have to work towards achieving something. And if we don't get it immediately, we immediately say to ourselves, that is not for me, or I will never have that. Another one is that we have this mentality of win or lose. If someone wins, that it means we're losing. Or if someone has success, it means that maybe I might be failing. So instead of thinking that if someone else's pie grows bigger, it means my pie is actually becoming smaller. And the last one, and the most significant one, I think, is that we at the end then think that I'm not enough. So what I have to offer is not enough, that what I have to offer, people don't want that I don't have any value to offer, and everything is already out there. And what makes me so special or different to be doing what I'm doing? So that's just really remember that everyone is on their own journey, and that if we are part of a community, and we all contribute to that community. And if you are in this part of this audience, it's highly unlikely that there is scarcity in your life. So if there is scarcity in your life, chances are that it's only created in the mind. It's not really physical. So let's just look at a couple of ways that we can get out of this scarcity mentality. So number one is to look and notice what you say and sort of the thoughts that you have. So what we keep repeating is really going to become reality for us. And if we repeat that thing long enough, then that's really going to just manifest into us having less or having scarcity. And so comparing ourselves to others is also one that really comes up quite often. So instead of focusing on what others are doing, let's rather focus on ourselves and see where we can improve and where we can contribute. Another one is also to celebrate others' successes. So that really for me means that we appreciate what others are doing, and that we could rather see it as a win-win situation. So if someone wins, it means that the collective group is winning, and especially having a look at what Frans was doing. So if his propulsion community is growing and succeeding, then everyone inside that community is really also growing. We also need to have gratitude on a daily basis. So maybe just saying to yourself, what's working in my life? What do I love about my life? Where am I blessed in my life? And then lastly, it's just that, there's infinite possibilities out there. So if we grow and we learn on a consistent basis, there will be new opportunities that arise because we're growing and because we're seeing these new opportunities. So just to close off, that I'm asking you again is, how are you operating your life? Are you operating it from the empty cup or the full cup? And is that mentality serving you? And if it's not serving you, then we can always change it. So we have to in order to change it, we have to be aware of it and make a decision to change it, and then intentionally going out and changing it. So thank you for listening, and that's what I have for you today. Thank you, Francois.
Thanks a lot, Norma. You must have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Great stuff. Yeah, it's amazing that this thing comes up about comparing ourselves as well to others. I was watching a video last night on that specifically, and it says that, this is the one biggest thing that we do. I think, in fact, I think it was Simon Sinek that said that that's what we do. We compare, and you will always fall short when you do that. So stop. Just stop it. I don't know if you ever saw that video about stop it. You can go and search on YouTube for stop it. You'll see it's absolutely an amazing video. It's a comedy thing, but it's very true. Just stop it. All right. So with that, let's get into this morning's topic, and that is the one key to success. So let's talk about what that is. Right. So, I don't know, I'm having so many technical difficulties this morning. So, let's see what happens and if this works or not. All right. So, welcome. I'm so glad to see so many of you here this morning, by the way. Thank you very much. I neglected to send out a little notice during the week because there were so many things happening, and we'll catch up on that at the end. But for now, let's get into the topic. And as I said, this is about the one key to success. So I just want to try and see what's happening. It just doesn't want to share. So let me there we go. There we go. Okay, cool beans. So now I can work. So sorry if you're listening to the podcast. That is one of those things. All right. So I want to start off with sort of the story about Circulus Online. So Circulus Online is it's the online CPD platform that I started creating back in 2017. And when I did that, it was also, that was a little bit more thought out than Propulsion Live or when I started Virtual Coffee with Francois, where Virtual Coffee with Francois was almost born out of necessity and trying to keep me sane and just saying, well, what could I do to take the focus off my stuff and then help others? That was really the whole purpose behind this show. And it's amazing how this has evolved, obviously, over time. But when it came to the online CPD offering, and it's also amazing what happened there because I've been thinking about it for about a year and a half before I actually went out and did it. But when I started Circulus Online, it was all meant to take all the training that I do, make it available online, and then if you are a Financial Planning Institute member, you could also earn CPD. That was the premise back in 2017. And then on the 15th of December 2017, I get this, I started seeing on social media about these new fit and proper requirements, and that CPD is now become I didn't even know that was coming. And the scary part about it is that it's been talked about for a year before that. So since 2016, they started discussions, and it sort of taught me a valuable lesson that I do need to read the FSCA or the FSB back then, their notices that go out. I'm not a fond reader of compliance, so if you're looking for a compliance specialist, this is not I. But that's sort of where this all started. And it took me at the point when I decided, look, I'm going to start this. I really spent a lot of time on that platform just to build the platform. And that was 10 full days. Now that might sound quick, but it's not really that quick. It was really 10 days of about 16 to 18 hours a day that I sat down and I was building this thing and trying and learning as I was going along because I didn't have all the knowledge to build this platform. And but anyhow, that is sort of what it was about. And there's sort of two areas to this that I want to share with you because I spent an enormous amount of time in the beginning and then another 5 days building the first course, which was capital gains tax back then. And I was very proud to get it launched. But there's a lot of effort that went in a very short space of time. So sort of if I can share this with you, the time that I'm here talking about is there's sort of two areas when it comes to this. It was from 2017 until 2019. I want to look at what happened during that time. What did I manage to create with Circulus Online during that time? And then what happened, obviously, last year in 2020. That is what I really want to get into. So doing this in 2017, we launched in October 2017, and the first course went live, and it was like, dankie toch. And then I needed to start building more and more content, because the idea was to cover all the financial planning areas and offer content that is valuable for everybody that needs to do that, but then also provide CPD. And obviously, struck luck when the FSCA said, well, this is what we need to do. But from 2017 until 2019, apart from those first 15 days that I put a lot of time in, the amount of content that I created in terms of hours of finished content, so not the amount of time that I spent creating it, the amount of hours of content that was created for Circulus and that's available on Circulus online has been 45.5 hours of content. Now, not too shabby. I mean, you only need 18 hours of CPD content, or if you're with the FBI, 35, and about 1.5 of those points are ethics, so I need to do a bit of work on ethics. But be that as it may, so we've got 45.5 hours of content. That is what I created from 2017 until basically February 2020, actually. Then 2020 came around, and we started the show. And as you know, we went live every single day for 75 days. Then we started going live twice a week, and at this point it's once a week. And we've been doing that every single week. We haven't skipped one as yet, except in December we took a little break. But how much content did I manage to create by spending a little bit of time every single day for 75 days? And then after that, still like every single 2 days a week, we did that. And then eventually this one day. But we keep on spending and creating that content every single week. And we don't spend a lot of time at once. We don't put in a lot of effort at once. And we created 126 hours of content. It's now more than that. It's significantly more than the 126 hours. But that's what we did during 2020. And yes, it's because of that, but I don't even feel the effort that I put into this. Why? Because it wasn't all done in one go. It wasn't done, like just really like cramming for an exam. If you've ever, we've all done that. You cram for an exam and you're just not seeing the results. You're just not getting there. So, yeah, it is important that to see the message in this rather. And the big difference here is that in the first 2 years, I was very inconsistent. And in the last year, I've been extremely consistent. And you can see there that being consistent significantly increased what I was able to produce with, I wouldn't say with, well, it feels like less effort because it wasn't all in that one go. But ultimately what I did was just being consistent, doing that little bit every day. And that first episode felt like it's just one, and then it was only 2, and then it was only 3, and then only 4, and now we're on where are we now? We're now about on 138, I think, is where we are now. So this is sort of the message this morning, and there's lots of things that we need to be successful. It's not only this one thing, but I do believe that without this one thing, you cannot be successful, at least sustainably and in the long term. It's easy to get short-term gains. So that is absolutely important. So the key that I'm talking about here, if you haven't sort of realized this by now, it is the fact that it is consistency. So what does it mean to be consistent? And I want you to sort of share with me in the chat, what do you feel is, what does it mean to be consistent? I mean, there's maybe we have different views on what it means to be consistent. But for me, it's absolutely about a couple of things. And it's really, first of all, just about having a rhythm. It's about doing things and doing them with a set frequency. And whether that means that it's once a month, it's once a week, it's once a day, that doesn't matter. But that consistency means that you have a rhythm and you keep to it. You stick to it. You don't change that. And you just do it a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and a little by little by little, it becomes a lot, as you hopefully know. So yeah, absolutely. And the next question I would say is that what are the benefits of being consistent? Because obviously we need to think about like, okay, but if I'm being consistent, it means I don't have to commit for a short period of time, expend a lot of energy. I now need to commit for a long time and stick to this. All right. So I love that, Tracy, to keep the momentum. I really like that. Yvonne also says momentum, structure, committed, ownership. So yeah, absolutely. So those are all good indications. So let's see what I said. What are the benefits of being consistent? Well, I think, obviously there we have that you become predictable. It's important to be predictable for our clients because they want to know what to expect. So that's the next thing, is about managing those expectations. So creating expectations, setting expectations and managing them. And you can only really do that if you are consistent, if you're delivering on your promises. That is one of the big things, like do what you say you're going to do. So you need to be consistent in that. And I'm going to look at all the places where you should be consistent in your business in a second. But that is important. The other thing that we need to think about here is that, the impact of this on perception. So what are we thinking about? What do people think of you if you are being inconsistent? So they can't predict what you're going to do. They don't know what the expectation is. What is the impact of that on the perception that somebody has on you, apart from the client? I mean, anybody, basically. So that's one thing that's also important. And then the biggest thing here is that for me, and this links on to what Tracy and Yvonne and so on is saying, is that it builds momentum. And once you've built that momentum, very few things can stop you. I've spoken about the principle of accretion before that Eric Krier wrote about in his book, Acta non verba, which I've also shared with you on the show before. And it's that thing about building little by little by little. And this is like a snowball, and it builds up size and it builds up speed. And with that comes momentum to such a point where if it's still a small little snowball and it hits a tree, it's gone. But when it becomes this massive ball and it has this momentum, it'll just flatten anything in its path. And that is what consistency is. But you don't get that from being consistent for a day or for 3 days or a week or a month even. It takes longer than that, but it builds. And once it's built, it takes on a life of its own. So that is really one of the biggest things. And then obviously value. I think value is extremely important, that you can deliver value because of all the things that I've just spoken about. So you're predictable, they know what to expect of you. The perception is that you're amazing and that you do great work, that you are valuable. And there's this momentum where people talk about you and people keep coming to you for advice and all of that. So that then is where we create additional value. So extremely important. So let's quickly see. Koba says consistency is about a habit. Must become a lifelong habit. It takes the stress and rush out. Absolutely. Charmaine, you need to actively schedule those important stones in your calendar daily. Absolutely. And if it's not in your diary, it's not going to happen. Absolutely. Kavendra said being accountable. Mariette says living a life of integrity and authenticity. And Rihanna, consistency builds trust. Yes, absolutely. Reino, being consistent makes it routine and every day, no need to think about it or force it anymore. That is absolutely true. So consistency are often, being said that it's a habit. I just think, when you've really made that habit your own and it's really become a habit, that you then become consistent with that. But initially, there's a lot of effort in order to be consistent with this new thing that you're learning. So it's in all areas of your life that is important. So what are some of the critical areas where you should be consistent in your financial planning practice? Well, the first thing I believe, and this is so important, is that you need to show genuine care. That is the first one. You have to demonstrate genuine care for your clients each and every single day. So that is the one thing that is non-negotiable. You have to care. You have to show that you care. And it's not only about your clients. What about your staff? What are you doing to show your staff that you really care about them as people? Or are we just driving the numbers? Why are we not here? Why are we not there? Just like, why is this not done? Why is that not done? But what about the people? How do we focus on them and show them that we really, really care? And also relationships that you're in, so extremely important there. Then being visible and showing up. When things have been rough in last year, could people find you? Were you visible? Was it easy to talk to you? or not, that you say like, oh, no, let me just hide a little bit because of the investment values that has gone down dramatically. I don't know how to have these conversations, or I don't have the energy to have these conversations. Being visible and showing up when you say you're going to show up, all of those things, doing that consistently just builds that trust and that momentum. Being available, as I just said, looking after your people. So that's, again, just coming back to showing care for your staff. We have to look after our teams that are supporting us. It is absolutely critical. And, there's many ways that one could do that, but definitely something to think about and to have a strategy for. It's not only about the results and the outcomes. There are people behind that, and people is what make your business tick over. So what do we do in terms of looking after them? Then ongoing learning. This is obviously a non-negotiable from my end. This is something that I definitely believe in, and this is something I've been doing for as long as I can remember. So ongoing learning is just like, you never know everything. You'll never know everything. And even if you think you know everything, there will always be a client or a situation where things are a little bit different, and you do have to go think, and that is also a learning opportunity. So keep on learning and learn different things. Don't think that it only needs to be in financial planning or financial advice or running a business. There's loads of things that you can learn and that you can actually take and come and apply to what you do here. Then also feedback and communication, because as I said, it's about being predictable and setting expectations and managing those perceptions. So feedback and communication is the most important thing that you can do for clients, that you just keep them updated. I mean, just think about yourself. If you have a problem and nobody tells you what's going on, you have to chase it all the time. It's just extremely, extremely frustrating. So feedback and communication, extremely important. Then delivering on your promises, as I mentioned that before. So that's, again, coming back to being predictable and setting expectations. So deliver on promises, because this is the one thing that makes you stand out from the crowd. So if you do want to stand out from the crowd, it's not necessarily what you call yourself. It's not your title. It is whether you deliver on promises. And then being proactive. We have to be proactive. We have to speak to clients before they can speak to us. Unless we really didn't know that something happened or something's coming to us, then that will be difficult, obviously. But being proactive, getting ahead of the ball or in front of the ball, to do that. So definitely an important part to say, well, how can I be consistently proactive? In other words, and the difference between that is like being reactive. You're waiting for something to happen, to go wrong, for somebody to contact you, and then you see, okay, what do I need to do? Being proactive is that you anticipate what is going on, you anticipate what's going to happen, and you already act before that thing has happened. So this is just about being proactive and showing that, again, it will go back to that you genuinely care. And then we always need to be adding value, because the moment the value disappears, then like, why is anybody doing business with us? So adding value, and this can be in many forms, right? It's not only in financial planning. It is also about being there for clients in difficult times. It's about listening to them. It's about spending time with them. So there's a lot of different ways that we can add that value. It's not necessarily doing calculations and analyzing and putting nice little reports together and all of that, or implementing any kind of product. It is all about the person and how do we add value from that point of view. Another thing about consistency. So I've also heard this yesterday, and actually the week before as well. I heard this sort of analogy to say, well, if you think about this, because we often think that in business, if I just do something, like put a lot of effort into it right now, then it'll be fine. But if you start thinking about things like, if I want to go run the Comrades and I decide the day before that tomorrow I'm running the Comrades and I go and exercise, I won't be ready, because it's not, I can spend the whole day exercising. I can do that. But it's not going to help, because I won't be fit, because you need to be consistent. You need to do it every single day over a very long period of time. I recently asked a couple of people, what's better? If I go cycling, is it better to ride 10 kilometers every single day for 5 days a week? Or should or if I just ride 50 kilometers on the weekend? Like, which is best? And the answer was clear. It is like the 10Ks a day is much better, because it's that consistency. It's exercising every single day. So it's not so much about the distance you can cover in one sitting. It is the fact that you're doing it every single day. And, as your body recovers and then exercises, recovers and exercises. And that's what you need to do. So that's the one thing. Same thing with if I eat right for a day, and that'll be extremely hard for me apparently. But if I eat 100% correct for the day, I'm not going to lose weight. I need to do it over a long period of time. I didn't get big because I ate a lot of bad food in one day. This happened because I did it over an extended period of time. And that's how consistency works. So yeah, Adrian, yeah, don't take that now literally. That was just an example. All right, so I'm not going to run the Comrades. My knee won't allow me, but I may go and ride something like, I don't know, some of these nice cycling races soon. So let's see. So then what are the benefits, or rather, let me show you some of the results that we attained. And you may have seen some of this before, where some of the results we attained through or with Propulsion Live. I know it's a difficult morning this morning. I'm very sorry. So what we did was we grew the subscribers. Actually, I didn't update this now. We're on 810 subscribers. So thank you very, very much. We really battled to get over that 800 mark, and we suddenly just, once we hit 800, we went to 810. So that's what we did in a year. But in that 2020 year, sort of that is what we did, from 76 to 797, simply because I'm there. And I started my YouTube channel back in 2007. I created that channel. So I was on 76 subscribers, and then just see what happens in a year, because I became consistent instead of being inconsistent. We obviously created that 126 hours. 16,000 views to 5,200 hours of time that people spent watching what we do on Propulsion Live. And on the back of that, the big thing there was that Propulsion Pro was now born out of everything that we did there. And here's the amazing thing. When I started this whole process, never knew what was going to happen. There was no grand scheme, grand plan, like this is what I'm working towards and this is what I want. Nothing. I just became consistent. I made a promise to whoever is watching that I will be there every single day. And I did that when there was one person, and I did that when there were a lot of, and this is not about me. Let me just be clear about that. I'm just trying to illustrate the point of just sticking to your word and just being there a little bit every single day. And then on the back of that, now I've met people, I was introduced to people, formed new networks, the network grew. And then eventually we launched Propulsion Pro, which many of you are members of, and I'm very thankful for that. So thank you very much. But that's really what happened. We are able through this to do a lot of other stuff. There's so much that we offer through Propulsion Pro. So I'm not going to get into that here, but all of this is possible because I became consistent for the first time in my life with something. Because there's always something that I do, like, I love this, and it's almost like cramming for an exam, and then I stopped doing it. So definitely one of the big things that came out of this. But how does all of this translate to your business? Because that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's about your business. It's not about my business. It's not about what I achieved. This is about, like, how can you use consistency in your business? So what can you do? So let's talk a little bit about that. So the first thing is the culture that you're building in your business. So if we talk about culture in your business, it's about, how are people coming together? Do we like spending time together? Do we look for the same things? Are we after the same things? Does the business enable what we want to do in our personal lives? Are we so committed and so loyal to the business because of this culture that we have that we won't go anywhere? So those are the kind of things that you can build by being consistent. You can build a phenomenal culture. If you show that you care, you look after your people, and you do great work for your clients, you're being consistent in showing up, in being available, and all that stuff that we spoke about, it helps build a fantastic culture, both inside the business and within the community of your clients. Then, obviously, it helps you to also build systems and processes that will enable this. Why? Because if you spend a little bit of time, if you get into the habit and become consistent about spending time on your business, and again, that's often the thing that we think we need to spend a day a week or a morning a week on our business. Imagine if you just started spending 30 minutes on your business every single morning, or 1 hour every single week. And that's the problem. So it feels to us like if I need to document something, or we need to review a process, we need to see how a system works, for example, that, if I only do half an hour, it's going to take me, I'm only going to get this done in a month from now, or 2 months, or 3 months from now. And then you never start. You get 3 months from now, you did nothing, because we never have that full half a day or full day to go and spend on our businesses. But we do have these half an hours. We do have them. So take those half an hours, book it in your diary, be disciplined and stick to that as if it's an appointment with a client, and then start spending that time. And I promise you, in a month, 3 months from now, you will be amazed at what you were able to do and implement in your business. So that is extremely valuable to do that. Then automation, that's the other thing, because the more time you start spending on your business, the more you're going to realize, like, why are we even doing this? And then you will be able to take it further and say, well, what can I automate in my business? And then also at the end of the day, because of spending all this time on your business and understanding your clients better, analyzing where there are maybe new needs or overlapping needs and things like that, you can definitely bolster your value proposition by doing this. So my challenge to you today is to spend those 30 minutes a day or an hour a week on your business. And you can decide what that looks like, but do that for at least 3 months, and let me know what is the outcome from that. There's never been a better example of the story of consistency than the old Prudential Investments ad about the South Pole. So I do want to share that with you before I end this feature topic this morning. But so enjoy this. You definitely have seen this before, I'm pretty sure, but I do want to remind you, this is definitely the most powerful story. So let's watch this together. It's very, very short. It's only just about a minute or so. So enjoy.
Antarctica, 1911. The celebrated explorer Robert Scott leads an expedition in a race to the South Pole. He has with him some of the best scientists and navigational equipment of the time. In good weather, he can march over 30 kilometers a day. In bad weather, he sits it out in his tent. It takes Scott 2.5 months to cross 1,400 kilometers of frozen wasteland in minus 30-degree temperatures. But on January the 17th, 1912, he's devastated to discover he's been beaten to the pole by the Norwegian Roald Amundsen. Unlike Scott, Amundsen chose to get up and cover the same distance every day, no matter what the conditions. His secret was consistency. Scott never made it home.
Yeah, so I think that's the one thing that has always stuck with me, is that tagline that they use to say that consistency is the only currency that matters. Good stuff. So let me quickly see. There's so many. There's so many like comments here. So let me just quickly see. So Adrian said, great. No, Adrian. Drew says, Carol, to get physically fit or financially fit, it is a process of incremental steps. Yes, and to stick to that. So if it's hard for you to stick to it, get somebody that can keep you accountable. Consistency is so key, absolutely. And Rainer, if you become consistent, it will become automation in itself. Rainer, that is powerful. I'm going to save that one. So amazing stuff. Alrighty. So with that, let's do an update. I haven't done an update for a while, so let's do that and then wrap up the show. All right, so something that, well, there's a lot that, not something, but there's a lot that happened this week, and we had so much going on and so many events taking place. So I just want to recap that for you. If you definitely missed them, They are available. Some of them are available to go watch, and some of them are available for you to purchase if you didn't. But there are definitely things that you need to know about, and that I just want to review very quickly. The first one was about using video effectively. That was the webinar that we had on Wednesday. So that's our monthly webinar. And I had Kate Holmes and Adam Owen on the show, on the session, and we discussed how to use video effectively. And it was really amazing. We had many Propulsion Pro members there who attend these things for free, and we also had a couple of people who registered who are not members and who paid to be there. So thank you to each and every single one. The conversation was great. The value was absolutely phenomenal, and this will be available early next week on Circulus Online as well. So if you missed it, as I said, this is all included for Propulsion Pro members anyway, so you will always have access to it. But if you didn't register for the event and you still want to do and watch this, then you are still very welcome to do so. Then also on the back of this, next week on May the 4th, Star Wars Day, so May the 4th be with you. We are starting the first 30-day video challenge, and the video challenge is available to anyone. Propulsion Pro members, again, do this. You just have access to it, so you just need to go and register on the platform, and you can be a part of that. We're starting on Tuesday, and it's going to run for 30 days, 6 days a week is what we're doing. You need, if you're slow, okay, and that's okay to be slow, but you need between 5 and 10 minutes to spend time on this every single day. So if you want to get into this consistency thing and you want to start upping your game, you want to amplify your message, then this is a great way to come and learn with other people who are in exactly the same position as you and who's looking for a safe space to learn to do video better and to become confident in doing video. And this just have those small incremental steps that some of you have been referring to as well. So if you are interested in that, you can just go to propulsion.co.za/video30, and you can just go and register there. And there is a fee. If you're not a member, it's 1,500 Rand to be a part of the video challenge. If you're a member, you get it for free. So that is up to you. You can also then obviously consider joining Propulsion Pro. But really excited for this. I've been a part of this before, and it is really amazing value, and it ups your video game tremendously. But it's not only about making better videos. It's about getting your message out there. It's about elevating your brand. It's about all of those things together. And that's what this will enable you to do. So join us. There is an email also going out this morning at about 8:30. You'll find an email with the link as well. But otherwise, just go to propulsion.co.za/video30, and you can register there to join us. All right. Then we also yesterday did the second session for the Financial Planning Institute on technology and innovation, and this is really an amazing series. So there's three episodes or 3 sessions in the series, and what we do is we talk about the 6 steps of financial planning and how technology and innovation is being applied by people who are in practice or people who work with a lot of financial advisors and what they see. So we had Louis van der Merwe, Russell Ho, and Amanda John as part of the panel. I did the facilitation and the entertainment, I guess. So that is what I did. And we had this phenomenal discussion yesterday about step 3 and 4, which is analyzing and recommending. And they share the tools they use and their approaches and a whole host of other things, as some philosophies and things that they see working in their practices. So do go and check it out. It's on the Financial Planning Institute's website, not their website, sorry, on their YouTube channel. And it's available there already. So you can just go and watch that for Mahala for free. And then also you can, if you are FPI member, you can log into your profile and go do an assessment for this and earn 1 CPD point. Alrighty, so that is sort of the story. So the big news then for next week is that we need to join the 30-day challenge. Come and join us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. You will also be part, if you're not a Propulsion Pro member, you will have access to the platform during the 30 days. Just come and join us for that. You're going to meet a lot of nice people, awesome people, and also you will learn a heck of a lot. So yeah, that's it from me for this week. Thank you very much. I see Ben says, yes, the video webinar was great. Thank you very much for that, Ben. I appreciate it. And Julie says, great show. Thank you very much, Julie. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay dry and become consistent, guys, and enjoy. Thank you very much for everything. I love you all. Have a good one. We'll chat soon, and I will see you next week, same place, same time.